In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor and acknowledge Mokinstis and the traditional Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of Nitsitapi Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Pikani, as well as the Yara Nakota and Tsuut'ina nations. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the Northwest Métis homeland. Finally, we acknowledge all nations, Indigenous and non, who live, work, and play on this land, and who honor and celebrate this territory. Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Pridecast brought to you by IKEA. I'm your host Sumit, my pronouns are he and they, and I handle production and programming at Calgary Pride. I'm so thrilled about our last episode of this series. Today we are very honored to have a special guest, Nekro. Nekro is an aspiring makeup artist and consider themselves as a living canvas. They're also a musician and are in the process of rolling out their first venture. Nekro is two-spirit and hails from Siksika Nation and wants to share their journey of discrimination, rejection, hatred, and then finally, acceptance. Nekro recognize themselves as two-spirit individual and strives to be their best selves. Their journey of healing is marked by taking step towards acknowledging their auditory senses and their masculine and feminine spirits. Hi Nekro, thanks for being here. Can you please share a little bit about yourself with our viewers?
So I come from Siksika Nation. I was raised there until I was 17. And when I was 17, the time came to make a decision, right? There wasn't many opportunities for me. So I came to Calgary and I've been here since then. It's 18 years later. I'm also an aspiring makeup artist. I've been working in the metal community with my music. I've been taking a little bit of a break. And now I'm on this journey of coming back.
That's great. Nekro, could you please shed light on your two-spirit identity and what does that mean to you?
So I believe two-spirit is different in different cultures. And I know there's different versions of two-spirit people. For myself, what I've been learning and the journey that I've been working with this really amazing Indigenous queer therapist. And she has been amazing. And this has been a journey where we've been talking about how I feel as an individual. And we discovered that I was born with a masculine spirit. But when I went through puberty, I was forced to create a feminine spirit to help me protect myself as I grew up. And now I'm having them work together so that I can create. And they do help me create. It's been a really awakening experience. I feel a lot more confident in myself, more comfortable.
You mentioned your energies as masculine and feminine energies. I would love to ask you, if you can shed light on those energies that you have and you feel.
Right. So with my feminine energy, they're known as they. And they also have a color, and the color is blue. It's a very warm, compassionate color. And my feminine energy is actually all visual. So everything I do with my face, anything I paint, anything I create that's kind of a hands-on thing, something that just tells a story. It's like the feminine energy coming out and telling their story and where they came from and why they're here and how they guided me to be who I am, to be comfortable. My setbacks, being born biological a different way, but
yeah.
So they've been really helpful. And then I have my masculine spirit, and they have the color red. And this masculine spirit is just so ready to live in the world again. I had to let go of that part of myself when I was young. And it has recently come out in the last 2 years. And it's been an amazing experience. There has been times where it has shined through a few times, and that was mainly through music. That's where it comes through, writing music. It's it's a vocal thing. It's the power. My voice is very quiet when I speak, but when I sing, it's very loud. it's just this beautiful warm feeling. So with both my energies, when I put them together, I get purple, and that's like my favorite color.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I know I need to work a little bit more on integrating the purple within me, but it definitely is a part of my life, and I try to carry purple around with me to acknowledge that they're both here.
That's amazing. I love that. Also, you said is it your masculine energy which is auditory, or is it the feminine? Please remind me.
The masculine is auditory, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like spoken word, singing, writing,
Yeah.
even doing poetry
Yeah.
and writing the things that you write on social media. Yeah.
Just for my knowledge, Nekro, is the term two-spirit is a common denominator that is used for somebody who identifies either as trans, or is it just inherited in a very different format?
Well, going back to my grandmother, when she was talking about two-spirit, her story was more based on that we would have men or women. They would both be working with children, or it would be fierce warriors. They mainly like men who were more feminine. They would definitely be more with the women, taking care of the children, doing all the things that the women would do. But at the same time, yeah, they would go into battle, and they would be these amazing like fierce warriors. She was like, they were fierce. They were so powerful. And she says that's why we had them so sacred. I think more in the modern knowledge now, the two-spirit term definitely umbrellas a lot more groundwork instead of just that. We don't live like that anymore, unfortunately, but it does cover trans people, gay people, lesbian people, non-binary, even those have their own umbrella. So it kind of just gives it a wonderful, wonderful home for everybody who's different and are beautiful and sacred, and they have their own gifts. I was given the gift as known as the healer in the two-spirit community. Yeah.
That's great. Nekro, what was it like to discover your identity, and how did it feel like, or how did you come about sharing that with your close circle of family and friends?
Well, that is an interesting story. My late grandmother was about to pass away last year. She was my guardian. My grandparents were my guardians, and she was the last of them. And I wanted to be fully honest with her about how I was starting to become more aware of who I was. At the time, I used the term non-binary, and I tried to explain to her, through the phone, like how I was feeling. And she was like, I don't understand that term. What you're telling me is two-spirit. We had two-spirit people in our culture. And she gave me this beautiful story that two-spirit people were so sacred, and they had special gifts. And her elaboration of what she said was just beautiful. And she's like, so, wow, my grandchild is two-spirited, and that makes a lot of sense why growing up you were a little difficult. So that was a great way of introducing myself to my grandmother, with my late uncle, who also passed away this year. He already knew, I guess, when I was a little kid and we used to watch movies and everything, so he was already like, there was something a little off about you. So he was very welcoming, and he's like, as long as you're happy.
Yeah.
So it's still a work in progress with others. Family members outside are a little more supportive than family on the inside.
Again, it's not, as we say, it's not a destination. It's a journey.
It's a journey for sure. Yeah.
In our conversation, something that really stood out to me was your journey from hatred, rejection, and then self-love. What are some of the teachings that you were able to use to not power through per se, you were able to that were helpful for you to navigate through this journey?
Well, this is very difficult. When I was met with hatred and discrimination, it was actually through my own sibling. At first, they were very supportive of where I was, of how I came out, and we had an argument, and I was punished with my dead name, with the wrong pronouns, and some very derogatory things that put me in a really dark place earlier this year, where I really started to have self-doubt and ask myself, am I a fraud? Am I fake? Am I really all these awful things? Because for the first time, I was starting to feel like myself. I was starting to love myself for who I was. I was starting to understand things about who I was as a person, but how I struggled growing up. I had so much insecurity. I didn't believe in myself when I was younger. And so I went through a very dark phase of just brokenness, very broken. What helped me was I eventually started asking myself, are these things you can go back to? Can you go back to being someone you weren't? Can you go back to being this again? Is that really what you want? Would you be happy if you went back to your old name, the old pronouns, the old idea? No, I'm not happy like that. So I reached out for help. I reached out to therapy and specifically looked for a gender therapist. And I was, like I said, it was very fortunate that she was also Indigenous, and she took me by the hand and said, I will be there to help guide you through this darkness and help you find yourself again. You're not responsible for other people who are hurting, and that's part of it. Someone is always hurting. Yeah. I want to try and heal what's been hurting for so long.
That's great. I'm glad you're able to find that path, and then even if you're navigating it through still, at least there is something that you're able to channelize through a medium, which is your therapist, but at the same time, go through this journey of acceptance. And again, it may happen for some people right away, and it may take some time for some other folks too. So love that. Nekro, how do you deal with lack of knowledge the lack of knowledge among settlers or us all within the 2S LGBTQ community?
Well, that is definitely a case-by-case scenario. I mean, there are going to be people who are not going to want to listen. And it definitely is okay. I mean, I can't force someone to listen. There are definitely a lot of people who are listening, and it's amazing. I mean, just this morning I woke up and I had a bunch of text messages from all my friends, and they were reaching out like, we're excited. We're excited to hear more about you and everything. So, it's part of a journey for sure.
It's reassuring.
It's very reassuring. One little example. Quite recently, I came out to HR last week, and I decided, well, now that we're going back into the office pretty soon, I want to be myself, and I don't want to hide and pretend who I am. And they were so welcoming, and they're setting up some seminars for the company to be taught. How do we respect other people's pronouns? How do we respect gender diverse people, and how do we respect any kind of sexual harassment in an office? So they are bringing someone in to educate everybody, and it's kind of exciting and it's kind of cool, right? You're like, wow.
It's a great time to live in that these avenues exist, and at least there are conversations. It's not like, yes, we understand, but we don't know what to do with it.
Right.
The day you've been waiting for is almost here. Parade Day is Sunday, September 5th. While we can't gather and march through downtown Calgary, this year we are really excited to share a full day of entertainment both in person and online, including a virtual parade with community and partner submissions. Tickets for Big Art Drive-In are sold out, but the best part is you don't have to leave the comfort of your home or your couch. Come in and join us live at calgarypride.ca/live to join the parade online. Nekro, there's a lot of conversation these days about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is your stance on this, and how can we make the space even more diverse within the intersectionalities that exist under the 2S LGBTQ umbrella?
So as I mentioned, when I came out for work, the HR was very supportive, and we did have a meeting about what I needed. They did offer some services of bringing in a worker to talk with the company, and that's really beneficial for me. That helps me feel a lot more comfortable and safe coming back to work, knowing that any harassment, it can be dealt with. It is an interesting concept because I am an Indigenous person. I'm a two-spirit person. So it feels like I'm very on like the minority side of that, right? But yeah.
Do you feel there is added pressure just because you have any expectation to live up to, or you're like, yeah, but I'm accepting myself?
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. People sometimes ask you some interesting questions about, maybe you don't actually know the answer yet. This is not about the destiny. This really is about the journey. I'm learning as I go. I decided to even take some Indigenous courses to try and figure out things that I might have missed in school and high school. Things were a little different when I was at my age in school. And I want to re-educate myself. And I think a lot of people, that they would really benefit if we keep educating and keep learning more and more about all individuals. We're not all the same. Everyone comes in different places and different levels. And the more space we give each other and ourselves, the more we can triumph and feel a little more peace in this world.
Absolutely. Nekro, what frustrations or pet peeves that you may have you face as a 2S LGBTQ makeup artist?
Well, the main one is, are you a boy or are you a girl? Yeah, they're like, you pick one or the other. Which one are you?
That shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter, but I do get asked it quite a bit. Well, if you go by he, why don't you look like a man? Well, you still have a female-looking body, so that must mean you're still a female. It can be really frustrating because you're not picking a side, and I get asked that a lot, to pick a side. I can't pick a side. I am just this vessel for my two spirits, and they help me create. I think that's the most frustrating thing for me is, pick a side.
Do you get questions asked about why your makeup is all like black and red or anything as in such? Do they ask you about your makeup or any commentary?
With that, actually, there's a lot more support.
That's great.
What I do with myself, and it changes frequently. I actually have quite a bit of a little fan base in my friend group. Sometimes during the holiday season, my main character I'm known for is called Nekro. It's kind of like it's Krampus, but Krampus, Nekro.
I love the name, Nekro.
So usually I would do like a little photo shoot where people will, it's really a donation. They sit with me, we take a picture. I usually have little pictures ready for everyone. And, whatever donation I make, I actually try to match that donation. Recently, it was only for animal charities, but now I'm going to be branching out and looking to helping the agency that helped me, find my doctor, find my therapist, and just been great.
It's a great way to give back.
Yeah, I definitely want to give back. So I'm fortunate on the creative side. People love it. They think it's crazy and unique. So
I love that too. Yeah. Nekro, what's your advice to folks who are facing similar challenges as yourself, or who may identify as two-spirit, maybe don't understand what it means to be that, and then going through a similar journey where you were in the past?
I would say you are enough. Because I know for a long time, I didn't know if I was enough. I didn't know if I was Indigenous enough. I didn't know if I was two-spirit enough. I didn't know if I was gender diverse enough. I didn't know if I was enough. That's one thing I do want to share with others in similar journeys as me, because I'm in my stepping stones now. I'm finally coming out embracing that. And I can't even be sure where I'm going to be in a year from now, 6 months from now, who knows? But I want to share that. You are enough. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. Just be yourself. And if that changes, that's okay too. It's fine. Change is good. That's how we grow. And I'm in a very vulnerable place in my life now. But vulnerability is strength. It's another source of strength and growing.
Lastly, I want to ask you, Nekro, if people want to follow your journey and, ask you the questions, how can they find you? How can they be in touch with you?
So you can find me with my Instagram page. It's open to the public. It's magabadosi.art. And I also have my Facebook link to it, and currently my Bandcamp, which has nothing on it right now, but we are currently re-recording some stuff. I wasn't really happy with my vocals in the last few songs. You can hear like my nervousness, and I'm like, that's not there. We gotta do it again.
Doesn't cut it.
Yeah, we gotta do it again. We get back there. So I do have. You can find my other music with my band. We're kind of on hiatus, but we do have albums out there. It's, you go on Facebook and you can find Frightenstein. And yeah.
Okay.
If you like monsters, that's where else you can find me.
Who doesn't like monsters? I want to thank you, Nekro, for coming here and sharing their journey with us. We appreciate the energy it takes to be vulnerable and open up to the community and share your journey of Pride. We also like to spotlight some of our partners who make programs like Pridecast possible. TD, IKEA, and Max, who power our volunteer program, and Infosys, and many public support partners who help us make Calgary Pride Week happen. We would like to thank Aboriginal Friendship Centre of Calgary, Government of Canada, City of Calgary, East Village, Tourism Calgary, Rise Up, and Big Art. Thank you. And of course, there are many other partners who aren't listed here. Finally, a huge round of applause for IKEA Calgary and their team for lending us their support, lending us their showrooms for the Pridecast episodes. You make us look really good. Thank you, IKEA. However you choose to celebrate, please be safe and look out for each other. Together, we are Calgary Pride. We should probably get out of here. I think IKEA's got stuff to sell. So let's wrap.